Welcome to All That Matters, a show about what's really worth your attention in the markets and economy today. Join hosts Michael Antonelli and Ross Mayfield as they tackle the latest headlines and answer real questions from clients.
Welcome to All That Matters with Mike and Ross. Mike, we were talking AI this week, as is seemingly everyone else in the world. But 2026, a lot of things have happened, but it feels like AI has really come to the fore, and the pace of change with this innovation and this technology has really ramped up in an exciting and uncomfortable way, depending on where you sit. So the backdrop of this conversation is software stocks, which are seemingly the most disruptible by AI, are in their biggest sell-off in the last 20, 25 years. There's been a lot of news stories about the rise of AI and different applications for it, and what that might mean for the labor force, for white collar labor, for people entering the labor force. Predictably, maybe a lot of negativity around that sort of thing, but irregardless, the narrative is getting very, very loud, very noisy, very uncertain. You had the foresight to head this off with a great blog. Should be out by the time this video hits. But I want to turn it over to you. What's the blog about? What does this moment in time kind of remind you of, I guess?
So I wrote a blog called AI, The Power of Narrative, because I was trying to grapple with not only what's currently happening in the market, this kind of uncertainty around what AI might do to software and labor, but also where it might go in the future. What might it do? And all I could think about when it comes to narrative, storytelling, was COVID. It's the first thing that came to my mind. And that was back in March of 2020, spring of 2020. We didn't know what was going to happen. We were stuck in a pandemic. We were in our homes. We didn't know what was going to happen. And when that occurs, human beings start to grapple with storytelling and narratives and what thinking about what could happen. All of a sudden, we're using Zoom every day, client meetings, talking to our friends. We used it so much that the stock market valued Zoom higher than ExxonMobil. So an audio-visual video chat was valued higher than one of the largest oil companies in the world. We started using our Pelotons in our basement. All of a sudden, Peloton's a $50 billion company because we're never going to gyms again. Airline stocks fall, hotel stocks fall. We're never going to travel. We're never going to go see our customers again. Since we didn't know what was going to happen in the future, we had to create a narrative with what we knew and project it forward. We're doing that with AI right now. We're doing that. We're saying this new technology, which is fascinating, and I think it will be world changing. We're trying to create a narrative around it because we don't know where it's going to go. And the narrative right now is this is going to take all the white collar jobs. This is going to kill half the software companies. Because when it comes down to the future, we tend to have this pessimistic slant. You mentioned it. We just tend to have this view that the bad outcome will happen, not the middle outcome or the good outcome. And then think back to COVID. What did eventually happen? Well, we stopped using Zoom. We went back on the road to see our clients. We stayed in hotels. Peloton fell because we decided that, gyms are great places to work out. All that we knew about the future in that moment ended up being wrong. And I think the parallels are very, very similar to today. We don't know what's going to happen, but now we're crafting narratives around AI. And I think what's going to happen is that the worst case scenario is not going to happen. Something in the middle is going to end up happening, right? AI won't take all our jobs, but it'll take some. AI won't kill every software stocks, but it'll make them have to produce higher value for their customers. To me, Ross, storytelling is everything. It's what I found in my career on you the same. Like we found our content on the notion of storytelling, and that's what's happening with AI right now. And I think, from my opinion, from my seat, it's very similar to COVID.
Yeah, you said a couple of things I want to respond to, and then I'll let you bring us home. But I mean, number one, storytelling is powerful, and like negativity is powerful. Back to 100 years ago, if it bleeds, it leads. Like we know that in media and in social media era in particular, kind of the negative cream rises to the top, and so we get served the more pessimistic scenarios, the doomer outcomes, and they're convincing. That's the thing, is like it's very convincing stuff. And so it's hard to refute because we don't know. I don't know what the future is going to look like, particularly not in this place of change. But I want to say two things that you hit on, and then I'll turn it back to you because you had a great takeaway on why AI isn't going to take everything. Why the importance of humanity and connection with other humans. But the two things. Number one, a stat that me and you bounce back all the time. 60% of the jobs today did not exist in 1940. 60%. So more than half of the population is doing a job today that just did not exist 80-ish years ago, right? That's important. The economy is going to change drastically, as it has over the last 80 years. But it doesn't mean the jobs are going to go away. There's not some set amount of work that needs to be done. And if AI does more of it, we do less of it. New jobs, new industries, more demand. So that's really important. One example of that is the ATM. I was reading about the ATM. Came out in the late 60s. Widespread predictions that bank tellers are toast. They're done. We're not going to need them anymore. People are just going to get their money from an ATM. And instead what happened is bank teller employment rose for the next 40 years because costs went down, more branches opened up, and bank tellers still had plenty to do. They were cross-selling. They were helping with more complex issues, customer service, right? Nobody predicted that. Everybody just said, well, this technology is great. It's the death of the bank teller. And it was wrong. And most of the predictions for mass technological unemployment over the last 100, 200, 500 years have been wrong. So this time could be different, but that's a dangerous way to think about the world. Negative narratives are powerful. We're here with the positive narrative. Mike, I'm going to give it back to you to bring us home because you had some really good insights on just, I guess, humanity. I don't know. Maybe it's a little existential, but.
Yeah. I think that one of the core truths about the world and humans is that we like dealing with other humans. We do. We are a social species. We are tribal. We're very social. People don't hire financial advisors to do routine paperwork for them. They hire them to manage their financial uncertainty, including taxes and estate planning and investing and all the myriad of things that we do. Imagine you sell a business for $50 million, or you have a spouse die, or you inherit a bunch of money. You're going to go to a chatbot and be like, tell me what to do with my estate, and then just do it. Well, what happens when the world falls apart? You're going to go to your chatbot and say, what do I do now that the world's falling apart? No, you're not going to. You're not going to. You're going to want to talk to a person who can talk you through all the various outcomes. Same thing for lawyers and doctors. If I found a spot on my x-ray, I'm not going to go to ChatGPT and ask, what's the spot on my x-ray? I want to talk to somebody who has spent their life studying this. So I push back slightly against it's going to take every job. It's going to remove all these companies, because it just removes the trait that's so inherent to humans. And that is our need for interaction with others in our species, our need to talk to other people. It just removes that and assumes that we're just going to use a computer. And I rebel against that notion. I really, really do, Ross. I think that some of the narrative that's being created right now might happen, but I think a whole bunch of it won't. And I think that's always the future. I think the people that succeed the most are optimistic about the future, not pessimistic. I think that's a core successful trait, that you look at the future and say it's going to be better, not it's going to be worse. Those people succeed.
100%.
And that's the message. That's the message I want, Ross.
Read Mike's blog. Reach out to your advisor. Reach out to us with any questions or things you're seeing. We want to make sure we're addressing everything you're worried about, everything you're thinking about. But definitely interact with Mike's blog. It's great. And we'll be back next month to talk about whatever else is going on. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching All That Matters. Opinions expressed in this episode belong solely to Mike and Ross and do not necessarily represent the opinions of Baird. This program is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for any investment decisions.